It has been a few days now since the Colony Reborn update was released for Titanfall 2, and in this video we will run through everything that you need to know about what has been added and what has been changed in this latest patch. We will also look at what Respawn has said about future content for Titanfall 2, and you can also see the direction that I think this game needs to go in. Most of this update revolves around the new Colony map, which is another re-release of an original Titanfall map. Colony has a standard layout in which there are large open areas around the perimeter and tight streets between buildings in the interior. The buildings have multiple floors and the use of vertical space here by pilots is very important. I think this map is particularly well suited to Last Titan Standing, as it acts as a really fun arena with lots of cover and flank routes. Although as most of this cover consists of buildings only a few stories high, the North Star Titan tends to perform very well here due to its verticality and long sightlines. The other addition is a new version of the R101 assault rifle. This new model is identical except for the sight. It has an ACOG unlocked as the default. Despite the scope and its stability, the weapon is still an assault rifle, and as such it is difficult to hit shots after the initial burst at longer ranges. You can see in this footage how the weapon is very powerful in its mid-range sweet spot, but I begin to have difficulty confirming kills at longer ranges on mobile targets. Additional paid content has also been added, including the Prime Titan skins for North Star and Legion. The North Star Prime skin is really well designed and has a great execution, but to me the Legion one seems just a little bit flat. There are a whole heap of additional camos, weapon skins, nose art and banners if that is your cup of tea as well. Now for the balance changes. The boost Roll the Dice has had its activation cost increased, and the charge rifle now requires a brief charge up animation even with the quick shot mod. The Thunderbolt anti-Titan weapon has been reworked slightly, meaning that it will now travel slower, have reduced area of effect, but increased damage, thus making it harder to use but more rewarding when used well. There were further buffs to the Holo Pilot tactical ability in an attempt to make the hologram more realistic. It will now display a name and a health bar, as well as appear on the minimap sporadically. The Amped Wall tactical ability can now be destroyed if it takes too much damage, which makes a lot of sense. I think we were all sick of that tiny shield absorbing an entire laser core or equivalent damage. Titans have remained generally the same, except for some minor alterations. It will now take longer to charge the core ability by doing Titan damage, so Overcore has just received an inadvertent buff yet again. There will also no longer be a marker over a pilot that successfully steals a battery. This alone will make rodeo attacks much more viable. Scorch has been tweaked slightly to make him more viable as well. As at the moment, he is by far the least popular Titan. He can now hold the flame shield up for 4 seconds instead of 3 continuously. But with the Inferno shield perk, the maximum hold time remains at 6 seconds. Additionally, the Fuel for the Fire Scorch kit will decrease the cooldown of the Firewall ability from 10 seconds to 8 seconds, but no longer affects the duration of the Firewall. There are a number of fixes, balances and improvements to game modes, the user interface and other aspects of the game. I will link the full patch notes down in the description so you can look over them yourselves. Overall, Colony Reborn is a welcome free addition to what Titanfall 2 has to offer, but 5 months after the release of the game, is it enough to ensure long-term commitment from players? And what do Respawn have lined up for the future? Respawn attempts to answer these questions in the blog post released on the 16th of March. They apologise for not communicating as well as they could with their players, and make some excuse about also working on a super secret Star Wars game. But eventually they do say that we will be receiving a future content plan later this month. They also are working on some related mobile titles and plan on releasing developer blogs and Q&As. Unfortunately, none of this actually tells us what to expect with regards to the game itself. So we are left with nothing but speculation, yet I think I have a good idea of what we might get to see based off the previous content. I think we can definitely expect more maps from the original Titanfall being remade, as this seems to be becoming quite a consistent pattern. We'll probably also get some additional weapons, but most likely they will be reworks of current guns in the game, as they've done with the R101 and the Wingman pistol. I'm also pretty sure that the 2 final Prime Titans will also be forthcoming soon. Now, judging by what was added into the original Titanfall game post-release, we actually could have a lot to look forward to if we're lucky. Now these are 3 elements of the game that I would really like to see added sooner rather than later. The first is some kind of challenge system that's a bit more interesting and rewarding than what is currently present. Something that provides more interesting targets than do damage or kill pilots, for another pretty bland weapon camo to be honest. This was done reasonably well in the previous game, and they had a vast array of different objectives. It gave players something worth working for in the long term. The second is some kind of ranking or tracking system for players of different skill levels. The first game didn't have dedicated ranked matches, but rather a system in which you activate a ranked chip to rate your performance against other players in the game. The point of this again is to give longer term goals for players, so the game becomes something more than a casual fun every now and then, which is what it is currently for most of the player base. We just need something a little bit more meaty than quick play matches all the time. Finally, we need frontier defense. Well, we don't need it, I just really want it. Respawn has shown that with Titanfall 2 they have taken what was in the first game and improved it greatly. If they were to do the same with this wave defense cooperative game mode, it would add a completely new aspect to the game, with its own challenges and rewards. And no, bounty hunt is not enough to satisfy my desire for this game type. Given they already have the maps, the AI, and shown the willingness to create new game types, this is a really viable option that they could add in and get a lot of value out of. Basically, Titanfall 2 needs more longevity, and I think that by adopting these 3 elements of the first game, they can achieve to a much greater degree than just a few new maps every now and then. So please tell us what you think of the Colony Reborn update in the comments, and what you think that Titanfall 2 needs in the future. Remember that developers like to hear feedback and contribution from their player base, so jump on those Respawn forums to tell them what you want. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more from 4FS Gaming, and check out our other videos for Titanfall.